Welcome to the Hollywood Secrets Information. In this video, we are diving deep into the dark, shocking, and brutally controversial world of 1970s exploitation cinema. Films so wild, so graphic, and so unapologetic that many of them were banned, censored, or heavily restricted across multiple countries. The 70s was a decade when filmmakers pushed boundaries like never before. There were no limits, no filters, just raw, gritty storytelling designed to shock audiences and challenge morality. Some called these movies artistic freedom. Others called them dangerous and disturbing. But one thing is certain. They left a permanent mark on cinema history. So buckle up, because today we're counting down the top 10 brutal 70s exploitation films that got banned. Make sure you watch till the end, because the last entry is still considered one of the most controversial revenge films ever made. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel for more untold Hollywood secrets. 1. Sugar Cookies, 1973. Directed by cult filmmaker Theodore Gershony, Sugar Cookies wasn't just an erotic thriller. It was a twisted psychological descent into manipulation and obsession. Starring Lloyd Bridges and Lynn Lowry, the film blurred the line between pornography and psychological horror. The story follows a sleazy producer who murders his underage lover and then molds her sister into a disturbing replacement. What made this film controversial wasn't just nudity. It was the uncomfortable power dynamics and predatory themes that felt disturbingly real. Several countries either banned or severely restricted it due to its explicit sexual content and morally repulsive storyline. Critics called it exploitative trash, while cult audiences praised its boldness. Even today, it feels unsettling, a reminder of how far 70s filmmakers were willing to go for shock value. 2. Ilsa, She-Wolf of the SS, 1975. Few exploitation films reach the level of outrage caused by Ilsa, She-Wolf of the SS. Directed by Don Edmonds and starring Diane Thorne, this Nazi exploitation film combined torture, sexual violence, and grotesque historical imagery into one shocking package. The film depicts a sadistic female commandant conducting cruel experiments in a concentration camp. It was banned in the UK, Australia, and several European countries due to its graphic brutality and offensive portrayal of real-world atrocities. Critics accused it of trivializing the horrors of the Holocaust for exploitation profit. Yet despite bans, it became a midnight movie legend. The character of Ilsa became an icon of controversial cinema, proving that shock and scandal can sometimes create cult immortality. 3. Caged Heat, 1974. Directed by Jonathan Demme in his early career, Caged Heat helped define the women in prison exploitation subgenre. The film follows young female inmates subjected to abusive guards, humiliation, and corrupt prison officials. Though it had moments of dark humor, the violence and sexualized brutality sparked backlash. Many regions restricted it due to its explicit nudity and prison abuse themes. However, Demme's later rise to mainstream fame made this film even more fascinating in retrospect. Audiences were divided. Some saw it as feminist rebellion wrapped in exploitation. Others saw pure sensationalism. Regardless, its raw depiction of institutional cruelty kept it controversial for decades. 4. Pink Flamingos, 1972. Directed by underground legend John Waters and starring drag icon Divine. Pink Flamingos is perhaps the most shocking midnight movie ever made. The film proudly advertised itself as an exercise in poor taste. From criminal antics to infamous unsimulated shock scenes, it was banned in multiple countries and seized by customs officials. It became a cult classic that redefined underground cinema. Waters intentionally pushed boundaries to mock conventional morality. Love it or hate it, Pink Flamingos proved that outrage could be a powerful marketing tool, and it permanently cemented John Waters as the Pope of Trash. 5. The Arena, 1974, starring Pam Grier and Margaret Markoff. The Arena mixed gladiator combat with heavy exploitation elements. Women warriors forced to fight in brutal Roman arenas created both empowerment themes and sensationalized violence. The graphic battles, partial nudity, and sadistic overseers caused censorship issues in several markets. While marketed as action-packed adventure, critics argued it exploited female bodies under the disguise of empowerment. Still, fans of 70s grindhouse cinema embraced its outrageous style and gritty spectacle. 6. Thriller, A Cruel Picture, 1973. Also known as They Call Her One Eye, this Swedish revenge film directed by Bo Arnvibini stunned audiences with its explicit violence and real, unsimulated scenes. The story follows a mute woman forced into prostitution who trains herself for bloody revenge. The slow-motion revenge sequences were influential, even inspiring filmmakers decades later. But the film was banned or heavily censored in numerous countries due to its graphic sexual violence. Its unflinching brutality made it one of the most notorious exploitation films ever released. Today, it remains both infamous and historically influential. 7. Hollywood Boulevard, 1976, directed by Alan Arkush and Joe Dante. Hollywood Boulevard was a satirical take on low-budget exploitation filmmaking. While less graphically violent than others on this list, its blend of sleaze, cheap thrills, and B-movie chaos still stirred controversy. Some regions restricted it for nudity and violence. Ironically, it mocked the very industry it belonged to. Over time, audiences grew to appreciate its self-aware humor and chaotic energy. It became a cult tribute to grindhouse success. 8. Blackula, 1972, directed by William Crane and starring William Marshall. Blackula blended horror with blaxploitation energy. While not banned everywhere, it faced backlash for its intense violence and racial themes. The film reimagined Dracula through an African prince turned vampire, mixing social commentary with horror spectacle. Some critics feared it sensationalized racial trauma, while others praised it for bringing black heroes into genre cinema. Its success helped launch a wave of blaxploitation horror films, making it culturally significant despite controversy. 9. Super Vixens, 1975. Directed by cult provocateur Russ Meyer, Super Vixens was loud, outrageous, and unapologetically sexual. Known for exaggerated characters and hyper-stylized violence, Meyer pushed boundaries of censorship boards worldwide. The film's explicit content and cartoonish brutality led to bans and heavy cuts in certain countries. Yet fans celebrated its comic book energy and rebellious tone. It wasn't subtle. It was designed to shock and entertain in equal measure. That audacity turned it into a grindhouse favorite. 10. I Spit on Your Grave, 1978, directed by Meyer Zarki. This revenge exploitation film sparked international outrage. The story of a writer brutally assaulted who takes violent revenge was considered too extreme for many audiences. It was banned in the UK during the video nasties era and censored globally for its graphic assault scenes. Critics were divided. Some condemned it as vile exploitation. Others argued it portrayed female vengeance and survival. Decades later, it remains one of the most debated films in horror history. Few films have generated as much discomfort, controversy, and conversation. These films weren't made to be comfortable. They were designed to provoke, disturb, and challenge audiences. The 1970s was a time when censorship boards struggled to keep up with filmmakers who were determined to shock the world. Whether you see them as artistic rebellion or shameless exploitation, one thing is undeniable. They changed cinema forever. If you enjoyed this deep dive into controversial 70s exploitation films, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to the channel for more shocking Hollywood secrets. Tell us in the comments, which of these films surprised you the most? And which one do you think went too far? Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.